Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our Shabbat evening service. Let's start with singing and then we'll talk after. We should be in the right capo. We return. We return. We return. Return again. We return. We return. We return. Return again and again to love.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to this service as we pray together and sing together and join in welcoming Shabbat into our days and our weekends. As usual, the weather report from my desk right by my windows is that it is lovely. I enjoyed the cold, but I'm glad the sun is shining again. This Shabbat, by the way, I'm Rabbi Emily Hyatt, in case you are tuning in for the first time and we don't know each other. And this is Steve Brodsky, our Cantorial Soloist and music director. We're very excited to pray with you on this last Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah arrives. But before we get there...
Wait, what?
What? Did you just freak out a little? Steve just had a panic attack. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to make it. It's going to be great. Before we begin our service, I want to call our attention to the fact that there is something else that we are noting on this Shabbat. And you probably are well aware, but it is the 19th anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 attacks in our country. And I read an article today that talked about the poignant resonance. That's what the language that they used. The poignant resonance of this day and this commemoration during this time and this pandemic. And certainly there are some things that bring up similarities, right? The dedication of our rescue workers, the devastating losses that we are experiencing, especially those in New York, and the death toll that we have seen in our country. But aside, or I think different than those things, what we also remember so much about September 11th is that it was a moment that changed the world forever. Nothing was the same after that. You watch a movie and you can tell when it was filmed by whether or not people meet each other at the gate or whether they wait outside security. And this too is probably a moment of permanent change in our world and in our understanding of how the world works this time of pandemic. And yet, as we think back to 2001, and we remember the day where destruction took on a new meaning for us, we also remember that in those moments of grieving and mourning, the idea of unity also took on new meaning for us. I learned today that it is customary to suspend presidential election campaigns on this day. They're still going, but nobody runs ads or has events. It's just a day of memory. And so in honor of and memory of those that we lost on September 11th, I ask us to, as we enter into Shabbat on this anniversary, that we put aside our divisions, any anger or differences. We join together in memory and in unity and in song and in prayer on this Shabbat. I think that is, I can't think of a more beautiful way to honor the lives of those who we lost on that day. And so with that, we prepare for Shabbat. We prepare to enter into Shabbat with this idea of transition and with the knowledge that even when we are at our most jarred and our world seems not understandable, we continue to turn and continue to go through the cycles of life. And so we read these words in a moment, perhaps. Now is the time for turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red to orange. The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will to make us turn. It means breaking old habits. It means admitting that we've been wrong, and this is never easy. It means losing face, starting over again, and this is always painful. It means saying, I'm sorry. It means recognizing the ability that we have the ability to change. And these things are terribly hard to do. But unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. God, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around and bring us back toward you. Revive our lives as at the beginning, and turn us toward each other, for in isolation there is no life.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And so it is with all of that intention and the beauty of the light that we bring into the world with our Shabbat candles that we prepare to welcome Shabbat with the words of Lecha Dodi.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Let's sing the chorus one more time. Sorry, Sean. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad ishmianu el hamiyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad Shemu tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem pesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tefila. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orech u'miori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kivod Adonai alayich nila. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. I invite you to rise as you are able and to face the entrance to your worship space this evening as we welcome the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'tzola toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 We remain standing either physically or spiritually as we sing together our call to worship the Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la, 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 Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam Avayed. Yalalai, lai, lai, 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 yalalai, lai, lai.
Blessed are you, Adonai. Your great name fills the universe with majestic might. Your word creates twilight and dusk as your wisdom opens the gates of night. Your discernment separates the changing seasons and causes the passage of time. The stars arrayed across the sky reveal your design. You roll out the cycle of darkness and light, shaping day and night. You sweep away day and carry the world into nightfall, setting day apart from nighttime. You are God of all we can perceive and all that is beyond our perception. Living, eternal God, be our sovereign to the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love.
Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. We read together. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love, for you are blessed, the one who loves your people, Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you've got to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Eloheinu Adonai Echad Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Eloheinu Adonai Echad Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam 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 Vaed Leolam Vaed Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Eloheinu Adonai Echad Adonai Echad Adonai Echad Adonai Echad Excuse me.
We're gonna read while Steve gets some water. You shall love the ones who are close with all your heart, with all your spirit, with all your strength. Remember these words, inscribe them on your heart. Love them when they struggle, when they sadden and disappoint you. Love them when they fail. See the good within them, even when they can't. Look at them and listen, even when it's hard. Be grateful for their guidance, even their reproof, when they save you from yourself. Love you when they give you joy, and love them when they don't. When you lie down, let go of anger. When you rise up at dawn, begin again. Praise them for their deeds at home. Speak to them in public with respect. Bind yourself to the ones you love with promises kept and vows fulfilled. Open to them the gates of your heart, the doorway of your soul, and let them know you. So shall the ones you cherish feel your love, your presence, and your care. Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Amen. We transition now to our Michamocha, and we read these words together. Eternal, watch over my small domain of light and shadow, those few people who share my love, and all others upon this earth that sometimes shakes with thunder and reverberates with lightning. Help us to live with fear and conquer rage, heal the hate that makes us kill and covers the ground with this Red Sea that only you can part, so we all may walk through the wilderness to your realm of peace, where all men and women are one, and sing your blessed name.
Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha. Bokeh hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'eli anu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai. Who is like you? Who is like you? Who is like you? Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We praise you, eternal power, the one who redeemed Israel. Only in you, my soul finds quiet. My rescue comes from you. You, my rock, still point of the turning world. I hold fast and will not fall.
A week from now, we will be in the middle of our High Holy Day Rosh Hashanah celebration, and because Erev Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat this year, there is certain liturgy that is included in the service that normally isn't when it's not Shabbat. So this piece, this beautiful version of Vishamru by Debbie Friedman, is one that we'll be singing next week. We've done for a few weeks now so that you can get used to it and hopefully join in and sing along. Vishameru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat lidorotam berit olam berit olam beini uvein bnei Yisrael oti leolam beini uvein bnei Yisrael oti leolam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, שבת וינפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Before the silent prayer, some slip the hood of their prayer shawls over their heads so that even among many worshipers, they are alone with God. Primo Levi wrote about the sadness of a cart horse shut between two shafts and unable to even look sideways. Let me be like those pious ones or that horse, so that even amidst a crowd, no other crosses the threshold of my dreaming.
We rise either physically or spiritually as we are able for tefillah. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Open up my lips and let my mouth declare your praises. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula, Livnei v'nehem, Leman Shemo, Be'ahava. Zochreinu lechaim החיים למענך אלוהים חיים זוכרנו לחיים מלך חפץ בחיים וכותבנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה
Your life-giving power is forever, Adonai, with us in life and in death. You liberate and save, cause dew to descend, and with mercy abundant, lovingly nurture all life. From life to death, you are the force that flows without end. You are faithful, even to those who rest in the dust. Power beyond power, from whom salvation springs, sovereign over life and death, who is like you? Merciful God, who compares with you? With tender compassion, you remember all creatures for life. Faithful and true, worthy of our trust, you sustain our immortal yearnings. In you we place our undying hopes. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol, wellspring of blessing, power eternal. You are the one who gives and renews all life.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We take a moment now for silent prayer, those in our minds and in our hearts.
Create a pure heart within me. And let my soul wake up in your light. Open me to your presence. Flood me with your Holy Spirit. And I will stand and sing out the power of your forgiveness, and I will teach your love to the lonely, and the lost will find their way home, and I will stand and sing out the power of your forgiveness, and I will teach your love to the lonely, and the lost will find their way home. Yehiyu liratzon imrei fi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai
And so we arrive now at our Torah service and our Torah reading. And this Shabbat, we have a double portion in our weekly allotment of portions. This week, we are reading two different Torah portions, two parshiot. The first is called Nitzavim, which means standing, and the second is called Vayeilech, which means going. And Nitzavim-Vayeilech is a common combination of parshas when we get to this point in the year, and it hasn't been a leap year, and yet they are deeply antithetical in their naming. And as usual, the Torah portion is named because of the first major word in the portion, right? So we call it Nitzavim because the first line of the Torah portion is Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kulchem, which means you are standing here today, all of you. And this Torah portion is beautiful. This line is beautiful. It says, you stand here today, all of you, Lifnei Adonai, before the Lord your God. And then it goes on to list all those that are standing there, your tribal heads, your elders, your officials, all of the men of Israel, all of the women of Israel, your slaves, your servants, your children, your whatevers. And then it says, even those who are not yet here. It's one of my favorite lines in all of Torah. In fact, this parsha holds a lot, I would venture to say most of my favorite verses of Torah. So this is the first one, Atem Nitzavim Hayom, you stand here today. The second is, even for those who are not yet here. And what this beginning is saying is, we're all standing ready to go into the land of Israel, ready to receive instruction from God, ready to be a part of this covenant. And you don't have to have been there to be included in the people, in the community. We are a welcoming place. And it means even those who have not yet joined, who don't yet know that they're coming on in or are going to be born and a part of the people, they too are included in the promises and in the covenant. But let's go back again. Nitzavim versus Vayeilech. What's the difference? Nitzavim means we're standing. Vayeilech means we're going. One is not a movement word. It's a standing word. It's a staying word. It's a rooted word. And the other one is a moving word. It's a changing word. It's a growing word. It's a forward word. And so the idea that in this parsha, we are getting the last of our instructions from God, the beginning of the end here of the Torah, quite literally. And we're told that while we're standing still, right? We stop and we listen, but we're working our way toward Vayeilech, toward that going. And here are some of the other, this is actually a very active portion in terms of the instructions that we get. The next verse that I love in this portion is from Deuteronomy 30:19. And it says, the parsha says, today I call heaven and earth to witness against you. Then it says, Natati lefanecha habracha vehaklala, which means I have put before you the blessings and the curses. God says, I have put before you life and death. So, uvacharta b'chaim, choose life. If this is not an action word instruction, this is actually the Torah basis, if you ask me, for our free will, for our ability to consistently and constantly make choices about who we are and what we believe and how we operate in the world. So that's the first one, our invitation into choice. We stand still and we hear that we have an invitation to be choosers of what it means for us to live in the world. And then we're given another verse that actually comes a couple verses before, but it says, Lo b'shamayim hi. That might sound familiar to some of you. It means this is not in heaven. We're told that all of these instructions that we're being given, that all of the information and these blessings and curses and life and death, none of that is like way far off in heaven where we don't have access to it and where we can't change it or be a part of it or interact with it. What we're told is, in different ways, each of the sages interpret this line that the Torah is not in heaven. It's a message of accessibility, that our tradition is actually in our hands, not just in God's hands. And so we're told, Atem Nitzavim, stand here. You are standing here. Let me give you instructions about how you go forward with choice, with autonomy, with responsibility. And then we get to Vayeilech, and we're told how to go, where to go, that we should go, that we should move forward. So I think it's a really interesting Torah portion, combination of Torah portions. But actually, there's one more thing about this that I find really fascinating. Well, we're thinking about the idea of standing. What does it mean we stand here today? We actually know a lot about, in Hebrew, the word stand, nitzav. And it's not the word that we would use. We would not say nitzav in Hebrew if we were talking about like standing on a street corner or standing in line or standing up after we lie down or whatever it may be. We would say omed. Nitzav and omed mean different things, though they both mean stand. In our tradition, omed is the kind of standing that is in it's a standing that isn't permanent, right? You stand on a street corner because you're not staying on a street corner. You nitzav somewhere where you are standing firm, where you're growing roots. It has the connotation of being firmly planted somewhere. And so these ideas of sometimes we stand someplace with roots, and someplace we stand in another place with a temporariness, with a fleeting placement of our footsteps. And so there's one final passage I want to share with you. This one's not from Torah, it's from Talmud. But thinking of standing in a place, we often will inscribe on our ark, on the Aron, where we keep our Torahs, a phrase. In many congregations, you'll find this. It says, Da lifnei mi ata omed. Know before whom you stand. Know before whom you stand. So we write this on the ark. We put this in the sanctuary, a place where we imagine that we might go to stand before God. But we're at home. We're not in front of an ark today. We're in front of a screen. So maybe we say this a little bit different today. Maybe when we say, Da lifnei mi ata omed, right now I'm sitting, but I'm standing here in front of you, looking at myself because I'm on Zoom. Fascinating. Know before whom I stand. Well, perhaps I stand in front of you, but perhaps I just stand in front of me in this moment. I'm doing this challenge at the moment, which is, I don't know, it's one of these like fitness and it's called 75 Hard, and it's 75 days of meeting this challenge of self-growth. And I love doing these things, and I love doing them, especially in Elul. And you have to do a certain amount of fitness, and you read books, and you do all these things. You drink a gallon of water, which is a task, maybe the hardest. But actually the hardest thing that I have to do, that I'm required to do in this challenge, is to stand in front of the mirror every day and take a picture of myself. It's a progress picture, but it's also a moment of honesty, real honesty. Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before whom you stand. And every day in the past little bit of time that I've been doing this, I've been forced to stand in front of myself. Our worlds have gotten smaller since the pandemic started. And so our ability to move has also gotten less. We move less. We are shrinking a little bit in our in where we range, right, and where we move about. But perhaps in that, our capacity to change and to grow, to do that choosing that we talked about, to do that reaching out for our tradition rather than waiting for it to live somewhere else inaccessible, has grown. It's infinitely bigger. Change comes out of challenge. And so in this last Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah, our last week of Elul, our last moments of preparing ourselves for this moment, this enormous moment of introspection and reflection and self-understanding, we know that when the gates open on Rosh Hashanah and close on Yom Kippur, We're used to standing before God. We're used to standing before each other. This year, we stand before ourselves. And so we do that with the knowledge that each of us comes with roots and with wings, that we're planted in these places without a whole lot of mobility right now. That is for better or for worse. Change happens out of challenge. This is a time of challenge. We're looking back to a time almost 20 years ago of challenge on this day. And we know that at this moment, we are Nitzavim. We are putting our roots further deeper into the ground. We're standing taller. We stand firmer when we do that self-reflection and when we look at ourselves in the mirror, when we know before whom we stand. It's probably harder to look at ourselves in the mirror than it is sometimes to imagine that God is looking at us. There's a different kind of honesty there. And so these high holidays, this Elul, I challenge you to know before whom you stand, to look in the mirror, to check in, to see where you are planting your roots and where you are willing to move. Which of your standings is one where you are firm and where you are not moving, and where are you willing to employ that invitation to choice, to uvacharta b'chaim, to choose life, right? Where are you choosing that right now? We, even in our limitations, always have choice. For it is not in heaven, it is right here in front of us, in the mirror, in the screen, in the Zoom window, when we look at ourselves, when we spend time really knowing ourselves. And so in this Shabbat, I wish you roots and wings. I wish you change and acceptance. Atem Nitzavim Hayom. We stand here today before ourselves, asking God to help us prepare in this last week of Elul. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom. And so we arrive now at the Torah reading, where we will read some of these words chanted in such a beautiful way as our tradition asks us to. And so for our pre-Torah blessing this Shabbat, we are going to be graced with the presence of Michael and Amy and Jesse and Dan Chapman in honor of Jesse becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, and our Torah reading this week by Rabbi Julian Cook, always a favorite. He is going to read for us from this Parsha, from Nitzavim, not from Vayeilech this week. Our translation this week will come from our Board of Trustees member, Ron Sachs. Thank you so much, Ron. And our post-Torah blessing will be from the Wolf family, Carrie, Zeke, Josh, Naomi, and Adam, in honor of Josh becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. And so with all of those amazing introductions, I turn you over now to the Chapmans for our Torah blessing.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach, Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem, rashechem shivtechem ziknechem b'shotrechem, kol ish Yisrael, tapchem neshechem begercha asher bekerev machanecha, mechote veitzecha ad shoev meimecha. La'avrecha bivrit Adonai Elohecha, uvalato asher Adonai Elohecha koret imcha hayom. Leman hekimotcha hayom lo la'am, v'hu yiyeh lecha le'Elohim. Kasher diber lach v'kasher nishbal avotecha la'Avraham li'Yitzchak u'Yaakov. V'lo itchem levadchem anochi koret et habrit hazot, ואת העלה הזאת, כי את אשר ישנו פה עמנו, עומד היום לפני אדוני אלוהינו, ואת אשר איננו פה עמנו היום. Skipping to chapter 30, verse 11. כי המצווה הזאת, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, לא נפלאתי ממך, ולא רחוקה היא. לא בשמיים היא לאמור, מי יעלה לנו השמיימה, ויקחיה לנו, וישמיענו אותיו, ונעשנה, ולא מעבר לים היא לאמור, מי יעבור לנו אל עבר הים, ויקחיה לנו, וישמיענו אותה, ונעשנה, כי קרוב אליך הדבר, מאוד בפיך ובלבבך לעשותו.
You stand this day, all of you, before the eternal your God, you tribal heads, you elders, and you officials, all the men of Israel, you children, you women, even the stranger within your camp, from woodchopper to water drawer, to enter into the covenant of the eternal your God, which the eternal your God is concluding with you this day with its sanctions, in order to establish you this day as God's people, and in order to be your God as promised you and as sworn to your fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I make this covenant with its sanctions, not with you alone, but with both those who are standing here with us this day before the eternal our God, and with those who are not with us here this day. Surely this instruction, which I enjoin upon you this day, is not too baffling for you, nor is it beyond reach. It is not in the heavens that you should say, who among us can go up to the heavens and get it for us and impart it to us that we may observe it? Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who among us can cross to the other side of the sea and get it for us and impart it to us that we may observe it? No, the thing is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart to observe it.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Thank you so much, and mazel tov to our B'nai Mitzvah families tomorrow, to the Chapmans and to the Wolfs, and also to the Gilbertsons who are later in the afternoon. We are so excited to celebrate with you tomorrow, and thank you so much to Rabbi Cook. It is such a joy to listen to Rabbi Cook read Torah. I feel like it's like a dramatic reading. I know what's going on. It's so wonderful to hear it read that way, and thank you so much to Ron for your beautiful translation. And with that, we turn with all of this holiness to the prayers in our hearts that we have for those around us who are in need of healing. And so, as usual, we will begin our prayer with the first verse, and then we will read a list of names and ask you for any names that you might have that we can all join with you together in prayer for each of them. And so we join together in the words of the Mishaberach.
Avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing.
Today we are praying for Zachary Hoffman, David Karner, David Lustig, Paul Kamensky, Dr. Catherine Carey McCallie, Natalie Mosier, Corey Franklin, Margaret Glubach, Bob Connolly, Lori Markman, Jeff Cohn, David Goldenberg, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Stuart Myers, Sonny Talpers, Jerry Butter, Michael Rose, Cantor Moshe Weiss, Kathy Steinberg, Shanti Hazan, Robert Tucker, Jennifer Brynan, Lynn Pollitt, Sarah Ellen McIntyre, Lynn McLaughlin Cromar, Cynthia Friedland, Dana Huss, Betsy Appel, Louis Karsh, Robin Huss, Joe Kaufman, Mandel Winter, Nancy Schwader, Devorah Miriam Bat Yehudit, and Shirley Barton. I ask you now if there are any people in your lives that you are praying for who are in need of healing, physical, spiritual, emotional healing. Type those names into the comments box so that we can hold them with you and pray for them with you. And of course, today we are praying for all of those who have been affected or who have faced illness and suffering from our current pandemic. We face all those who have suffered from the injustice in our world. And certainly we are praying today for all of those who were lost, who lost loved ones, who face still illness and suffering from the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. For all of those, we keep them in our hearts. All of those people, we keep them in our hearts and in our minds as we say, Baruch Atah Adonai Makor HaRefuah. Blessed are you, Adonai, the source of all healing.
Mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say we will begin to conclude our service as we join together for Aleinu. I invite you to rise either physically or spiritually. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And so with one more moment of memory for those that we lost on September 11th, 19 years ago, and certainly with gratitude and grief for those who fought so hard to save each of them, and who we also lost, those first responders and firemen and policemen and EMTs and all those who rushed toward the explosion to help, right? That is such a metaphor, thinking about what it means to be rooted in place versus moving. And our instinct is to move away from danger. And we are often surrounded by amazing people who move toward the danger on our behalf. And so with all of those people in mind and those who rush toward danger today, certainly we have a moment of memory.
In the rising of the sun, we remember. In the blowing of the wind, we remember. In the opening of buds, we remember. We remember. In the blueness of the sky, we remember. In the rustling of the leaves, we remember. As the year starts and it ends, we remember. We remember. When we're weary and need strength, we remember. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we've joys we wish to share, we remember. We remember.
Today, we are remembering all those that we have lost in the last week. Harold Gluscoder. Those that we have lost in the last month. John Bielenberg, Kaya Gwendolyn Dunham, Joanne Eisenstadt, Barbara M. Glazer, Sandra Goralnik, Sarah Hagerman, Bonnie Sunshine Handler, Tommy Hasselhorst, Mason Isidore Kennepel, Marcia Richter, Harriet Saper, Susan Elaine Weil, Elaine Botwinnick Wolfenson, and Emil Ben Yitzchak. And we add those names to those who we have lost at this time in years past who are on our Kaddish list and for whom we observe their Yortzeit this Shabbat. Bessie L. Abraham, Lillian A. Abraham, Patty Baum, Jenny Berkowitz, Marcia Stein Block, Trixie A. Bob, Sam Bach, Helen Brenman, Louis S. Cohn, Martin J. Deber, Pauline Deegan, Charlotte Dreyfus, Jack Franklin, Carolyn Freund, Celia Friedman, Bud Fisher, Leonard M. Gordon, Jacob Green, Albert Grousman, Carol Jean Grousman, Rosalind Hepner Gruskin, Max Guzovsky, Harry Michael Harris, Edward Hirschfeld, David Isko, Adolf Israelski, Andrew Kessler, Bernard Earl Krantz, Sylvia Lerner, Edwin Leonard Licht, Florence Lindner, Monita Levy-Malkov, Jay Melnick, Edward Newstetter, Julian J. Bud Newman, Philip Nowick, Jack J. Poller, Arthur Prince, Bernard Ben Reef, Julius Rodman, Rose Rothstein, Milan Sarf, Gerson I. Siegel, Etta Barry Spiegelman, Sarah B. Trotsky, Harry Tucker, Louis H. Wagner, Rowena May Weinstein, Sam Weinstein, Bernard I. Wilner. And finally, we add 10 more names to that list, though 10 of the precious souls from the city of Kolín in the former Czechoslovakia, for whom our finer chapel is dedicated, who perished in the Holocaust. Ida Premsler, Ludwig Premsler, Dr. T. Rappaport, Ludwig Rappaport, Ladislav Redlinger, Richard Reichner, Riva Reichnerova, Erika Rysova, Hilda Rysova, and Nelly Rysova. And it is for all of them, for all of those that you have typed in, the people that you love and miss and grieve for, and for all those that we have lost to acts of terror and hatred, to the terror and indiscriminate perishing of so many that we have loved and lost. We join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgarash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam uleomei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Huya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say amen.
So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember, we remember, we remember.
Few announcements before we conclude our service. Shabbat continues tomorrow, as usual, and at 9 a.m. we are going to celebrate the B'nai Mitzvah of Jesse Chapman and Josh Wolf. At 9 a.m. we will also celebrate Young Family Shabbat with Rabbi Black. At 10 o'clock we will experience, I was going to say celebrating, we will celebrate Torah study. We are going to experience Torah study with Cantor Sax at 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, our community service right here in the same place that you are with Rabbi Black and Cantor Sax. At 3 p.m., the B'nai Mitzvah of Brooke and Derek Gilbertson with Rabbi Black and Cantor Sax. The Chapman Wolf Bar Mitzvah, B'nai Mitzvah in the morning is with Steve. And then at 7 p.m., okay, so that's all the stuff that's happening during the day. It's a big day. As usual, Shabbat is always a big day for around here and in general. But at 7 p.m., we have a tradition in our preparation for Rosh Hashanah that the last Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah is a special night. It's called Slichot. Slichot means like apologies, right? Or the moments of asking for forgiveness. And we have this service late into the night on the Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah as some of our final hard work and preparation that we do to get ready for these high holy days, for the days of awe. And so we are having a Denver, Boulder, Colorado Springs, I think even wider, that the whole Front Range is joining together in our community Slichot program. It is being hosted by Jewish Colorado, by JCO. And so we are not going to have Temple Emmanuel Havdalah if you are a regular tuner-inner to Havdalah at 7 p.m. Instead, we are going to have Havdalah with the rest of our Denver community, which is just so cool. Slichot starts at 7. There will be a bunch of classes to choose from at 7 o'clock, all on Zoom. At 8 o'clock, we will have Havdalah and then a plenary, which should be very cool. That is going to be all about a new world, a new year in a new world. And we are going to have a bunch of amazing speakers, including Jonah Pesner, Rabbi Jonah Pesner, who is the head of the URJ. And we are going to have also, we are going to have Rabbi Ruth Abush Magder, who is one of the rabbis at Bechol Lashon, which is an organization that does inclusion and diversity work in the Jewish community. She's bringing a colleague, Marcella, with her. It's going to be really awesome. After that, there is going to be a concert. After that, there's going to be more classes at 10:15. I know your clergy is going to be teaching. We're going to do a quick trip through Mishkan HaNefesh and the Slichot songs that we usually sing and prayers that we say. Thank you for putting that up there. Great link sharing. And we are going to be teaching at 10:15, and then 11 o'clock. It's really late. We will be having Slichot Tefillah. It's a late night activity. You can register at Jewish Colorado. You need a password to get in so that you can participate in all of those Zoom links. And then after that, we have just a couple of days before Rosh Hashanah. All of the information for the High Holy Days is on the website. Somebody give Steve oxygen while we're talking about this. If you have questions about the High Holy Days or Rosh Hashanah, please let us know. We're here. We want to help you. If the technology feels hard or foreign to you, reach out ahead of time. We have a team in place to get you through this, to get you connected, to make sure that you're a part of this community. And we're gonna make sure that that happens. So if you think that you might be confused about how to make it all work, please let us know. We've got you in this. And now let's drink.
After all that, I think we need a drink. If you have a glass of wine or grape juice, please raise it high and let's join together in chanting Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Chaim. Well, the Challah Fairy is busy preparing for the High Holy Days as well. So I don't have freshly baked challah, but I took a picture of the two gorgeous chalot from last week that my wife Jill made, and this will be our new background from now on. So we'll always have an everlasting picture of these two gorgeous breads. So please join me in chanting Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
And so with that, we have a special Elul opportunity, as you know, which is that before we end our service, we need to listen to, pay attention to hear the call of the shofar. Summon the energy to sound the horn. Muster the strength to change, move from judgment to compassion, shift your perspective and heal. Be the first to apologize, offer the hand of forgiveness. Open your heart to hear the horn, believe in your power to change. Baruch atah Adonai, shomea truah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who hears the sounding of the shofar. And as we go into our shofar sounding in just a minute, I want to introduce you to, if you don't know yet, the amazing Kiyomi. She is a scholar. She has learned with us for many years. She has prayed with us for many years. We love to have Kiyomi in our congregation, but even more astounding at this time of year is that Kiyomi is a master shofar sounder. And so with that, I introduce you to Kiyomi, her amazing shofar, and we cannot wait for all of the rest of our High Holy Day shofar sounders to grace us with the amazing and powerful sound.
Tekiah, Shvarim Teruah. Tekiah Gedolah.
Wow. That was incredible. Thank you, Kiyomi, for that. We hope you got some air back. She turned pretty red at the end of that. That's how you know you really went for it. And with that, Steve, let's sing.
We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to we return again to love. We return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to we return again to hope. Ashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Kadesh Yameinu we return, we return, we return, return again. We return, we return, we return, return again and again to you. We return again to you. We return again to
Anachnu nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai. We all stand here, all of us, all of you, before Adonai, and we ask God today that we should have the roots to sink into the ground where we stand, to know what we're proud of, to know what we've done well this year. And we ask God also to give us the wisdom to know where we need change, that we have the freedom to make the choices to change or to stay, to grow, or to be satisfied with who we've become. It's a hard job to be satisfied. And so we ask your blessing, Adonai, as we walk these final steps toward our high holy days, we ask Tatzidenu l'shalom, that you should help our steps be steps of peace, and Tadrichenu l'shalom, that you should guide us on paths of peace, and that this week we know before whom we stand, in front of God, certainly, but also in front of ourselves. And we have a lot to be proud of, and we have a lot of work to do. And so with that, we wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and we'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll see you at Rosh Hashanah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.